now to share. We're going to be, if you guys can do me a favor and just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see weekly training 5-22, why some agents always make money. Oh, and then the other thing is, guys, do me a favor. My job is to help others. My job here is to inspire and educate others. If you do me a favor and help me pay it forward, right? And just slam that thumbs up, slam that bang, 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 bang. What that does is it tells the Facebook algorithm that we are here, we are in attendance, we are engaging, and then it'll push this live out to other people. So the more we do that, the better off we are. Thank you, guys. Cool. I see the thumbs up coming in. Okay. So like I said, today's training is on why some agents always make money, right? You probably see them, the agents in your office, perhaps, you know, the ones that are always seem to be just knocking it out of the park, right? What are they doing different than the next person, right? So here's what we don't want to do, right? Number one, before we get started with any of the details, I want you to do this because it always helps whenever you're learning anything, it always helps to be able to have it to put in some sort of context, okay? Why you're here, why you're spending 30 minutes of your Monday taking time out of your business, right? So the first thing I want you to do, guys, is write down to yourself, right? Write down your 2022 income goal, or maybe just your income goal over the next 12 months. Let's do it even better. Income goal over the next 12 months, because 4 months as of yesterday, 4 months of the year is already gone. Okay, so let's just take the next 12 months of your business. Go ahead and write that number down. You don't have to share it in the chat, but write that number down because I want to help put all of this training into context for you. And here's how we're going to do it. Next, take your 2021 income, whatever you made for the entire year of 2021, and write that down, right? So you'll have two numbers. You'll have your income that you want for the next 12 months. You'll have your 2021 income, right? And then subtract your 2021 income from what you want to make over the next 12 months, okay? What that is going to do is that is going to give you what the gap in your knowledge is costing you. Here's the rationale. If this is where you want to be, and this is where you are, like you want to be at, let's say, $300,000 next year, and this year you only made 150, okay, or 2021 you only made 150, then the gap between where you are and where you want to be is 150,000. Now, not knowing how to make $300,000 is costing you $150,000 a year. You guys with me? Okay. If that doesn't set off alarm bells in your brain, I don't know what will. Something is stopping you. Right? That's the gap. If you don't know how to hit that, it's because of you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the skills, you don't have the systems in place yet. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to help close that gap, even if it's just a little bit each time, right? So now that you know your gap is, for those of you brave enough, go ahead and do me a favor and share with me in the comments what your gap is. And in fact, if you do, I'll show you an example. We're going to get into something in just a minute, which will show you how to break down your goals and so forth. Go ahead and the first person to put their gap in there, I'll do an example for you, and it'll be very, very helpful, very, very mind-opening. So, okay. So what we're going to cover today, folks, is we're going to cover how agents always make money, how some agents just seem to always be able to make money. That doesn't matter whether it's a good market, bad market, sideways market, how some agents always seem to be able to make money, right? And then what you can do to bulletproof your business so that you never have to worry about market up, market down, so on and so forth. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was telling me, yeah, the market isn't the same as it was X amount of time ago. Yeah, this is different. Yeah, that's different. I said, yeah, well, have you had conversations with your clients about how the interest rates are changing? And now investors, instead of being happy with the 7 cap, you know, they're going to need an 8 cap because the Fed already said that they're going to be increasing interest rates. He said, no, I haven't. I said, exactly. So if you're wondering why the phone isn't ringing the way it was, if you're wondering why you don't have as many closings the way you used to, it's because maybe you're not having the conversations with your investors that buyers are having with themselves. See what I'm saying? So this is just an example of how you need to always be moving. You always need to be shifting. Whatever the market gives you, you have to be able to bob and weave, like a boxer, right? If they see a punch coming, you're not just going to sit there and take it in the face because that's what you've always done. What's going to happen is you're going to slip out of the way, right? That's what smart brokers do. They figure out a way to bulletproof their business by bobbing and weaving at whatever the market brings. You guys with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. Yeah. Okay, cool. And I see John Mendoza put out 100,000. Awesome, John. Thank you for being a brave soul. $100,000 is the gap between what you made last year and what you want to make this year. And like I mentioned before, that is the gap of knowledge that you have, because if you already had the skills to be making what you want to be making, you'd already be making it, right? So today we're gonna help work on figuring out how to close that gap. Okay. Now, the number one reason, right, why successful brokers, some brokers just seem to money year in, year out, they never seem to have slumps and so forth, is because number one, they know their worth. Okay. And what I mean by is they know what an hour of their time is worth. Now, in part, guys, if you don't control your time, you will not make the money that you want to. The person that controls their time controls their income. I'm gonna say that again, guys. The person that controls their time controls their income. Because if any of my students are on the line right now, the two things we talk about all the time, folks, is as agents and brokers, we only have two things to sell. We have our time, and we have our knowledge, right? Now, we sell those too, but they better be being sold for the right price, because if you don't command the right price, you'll always get what people are just willing to give you. Here's what I mean. If you are, let's say, for instance, let's see, John has a $100,000 gap. So let's say John wanted to make $200,000 next year. I'm just throwing it out as an example, right? The average person over a 40-hour work week for 50 weeks of the year works 2,000 hours, okay? What you do is you take whatever number you want to make over the course of a year and you divide it by 2,000. So as an easy example, $200,000 a year divided by 2,000, you get $100 per hour, okay? What that means is you need to be earning $100 per hour every hour, 40 hours a week in order to average out to $200,000 per year. You guys with me? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're with me, if you're gonna understand where I went to. So your annual goal, you divide by 2,000, that is your hourly rate. Now the brokers that seem to just always make money no matter what, it's not because they're necessarily smarter. It's not because they're necessarily more talented. What they do know is they do know what their time is worth, and they don't do any work that's worth less than their hourly rate, okay? Now, think of this, guys. If your hourly rate is $100 an hour because you want to make $200,000 this year, does it make sense for you to take time and, I don't know, do a flyer, put properties on the MLS, LoopNet, and CoStar? Does it make any sense for you to sweep the office? Does it make any sense for you to do some research tasks that can be offloaded to somebody and that you could pay $15 an hour, let's say, right? Tell me, does that make any sense? Because here's the thing, if you're like a king wouldn't necessarily be sweeping the floors. Why? Because there's people to do that for the king, because the king has to make king-like decisions, right? Or the queen. So in this case, if you are wanting to make $200,000 a year, you had better be making $200,000 per year decisions. And, is cleaning out your desk or sweeping the floor or creating a flyer, something that you can offload to a $15 an hour employee is not something that someone that earns $100 an hour should be doing. It's a matter of treating your time as precious, because it's a non-renewable resource. We will never get it back. And then going through and making it so that you can then do more of the high level tasks. We're gonna get into those in just a second. So if you guys are with me, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know that makes perfectly clear. So rule number one, you got to know your worth. If you don't know your worth, then you'll always be doing tasks that are not worth your time as a $200,000 a year broker. Now here's the thing, if you're a $30,000 a year broker or agent, sure, then do all those tasks that a $15 an hour employee would be willing to do. Because that when you are doing the tasks that are equal to your worth, that's when you will start earning what those tasks are willing to pay. In this case, you do $15 an hour work, that's $30,000 a year. I'm pretty sure nobody on here is striving to make $30,000 a year. Nothing wrong with making that amount of money, but typically commercial real estate brokers are trying to hit higher levels of income, right? And if you are stuck at that level of income, then stay tuned, folks. We can absolutely help you, okay? Now, number two, now that they know what their worth is, they delegate non-essential tasks. Here's what I mean, right? So non-essential tasks might be, like I mentioned before, creating flyers, putting properties online, maybe putting together an LOI, maybe writing up a contract, certain things that you could have somebody else do and maybe proofread it. So you spend 5 minutes of your time doing it and they spend 25 minutes of their time doing it. You guys with me? Okay. So here's what you do. What you need to do is write out every duty in your business. What I mean by that, write down the things that you do. Write down everything you can think of, right? From, in my case, it's you research a property, you find the person's name, you call the person, you get them on the phone, you book a meeting. From the meeting, you get the listing. From the listing, you put the listing on the market, yada, 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 all the way to closing a check, closing the transaction and collecting a commission check, right? So what you have to do is you have to write out every step in the process. And then what you do is you analyze what you don't have to do or what a $10, $15, $20 an hour employee can do. And you delegate all the things that you don't have to someone else who's willing to accept less money than you are per hour, right? So what I would say is this is where you have to do as much of the essential tasks during the day as possible. And all the non-essential tasks or the lower value tasks get delegated off to somebody else. I promise you, Bill Gates was not sweeping the floors at Microsoft. There was somebody else handling that so he can make higher level decisions. This is exactly why? Because he takes it and he delegates it off to somebody else. Now, here's what I did just as a small example. As I mentioned, right at the very top, you research the property, and then you call the expired, and then you set the meeting, then you get the listing, and then once the listing is signed, you blast it, and so on and so forth. I detailed, this is not just theory, guys. I did this myself for my business and learned what I could delegate and what I needed to do, okay? So if you're constantly delegating off the non-essential tasks, that'll leave your calendar open for the essential tasks, things that only you can do, the highest value tasks. You might be asking yourself what those tasks are. Well, funny you should ask, right? They are the big three, okay? And now so that's, and which incidentally coincides with our next step, which is what the brokers that always seem to make the most amount of money is. Step number 4 is they prioritize the big three. Now these 3 activities are what you need to be doing the most of day in, day out, right? The top 3 activities are presenting, prospecting, and following up. Presenting, prospecting, and following up. Say it after me. Presenting, prospecting, and following up, right? That should be your mantra. If you are not doing one of those 3 activities, you need to be thinking about how you can offload different aspects of your business so you can be doing as much of those as possible. In a perfect world, you would only be presenting, prospecting, and following up. But life is not perfect, but what we can do is we can do as much as we can in order to be able to do those things over and over and over again for as long of a period as possible. Okay, you guys with me? Cool. Now, what I would say is, hang on 1 second. Turn that around. Okay, cool. All right, so what I would say is, guys, try to figure out what you can do so you can be doing as much of the big 3 as possible. If you're not doing these 3 tasks more than half of the day, you are leaving money on the table. Now, a lot of people will say, man, I don't have the money. I haven't generated the money in my business yet in order to be able to hire somebody to do these things. And I say, meh, here's why. If there was a way for you to buy time back in your schedule, would you? I'll tell you what, guys, type in the comments for me, buy, B-U-Y, if you would buy time back. Like if you could pay and you could get 2 hours back in your schedule, 3 hours back in your schedule, 4 hours back in your schedule, would you do it, right? Type buy in the comments if you would, okay? Because I'm about to make a very, very important point, okay? Here's the thing, guys. If you go through and analyze your day and you can figure out a way to pay somebody to do the non-essential tasks, if you figure out a way to pay somebody to do the things that will allow you to open up your day, what you'll wind up doing is you'll wind up buying hours of your day back, right? So like, for instance, I don't know about you guys, but if I work 10 hours a day, right, that's 10 hours that I created. But if I hire somebody to work 4 hours a day for me, right, guess what? I just worked 12 hours a day. How would you guys like to be able to work 30 hours a day, 50 hours a day? You know how you do that? You do that by hiring people to do non-essential tasks, So for instance, I have a staff, and between the four of us, we're probably doing, I don't know, 30 hours of work a day. And what I've been able to do is leverage myself, multiply myself so we can cover more ground, so I'm more prolific, right? So what I say to people that say, well, I can't afford that, is you can go onto sites like Fiverr, you can go onto sites like Upwork, and you can find freelancers that are willing to do tasks, whether it's creating flyers or putting properties on the MLS for you, or non-essential tasks. And you don't have to hire an employee. You don't have to pay medical benefits and this and that and the other thing. You can hire them as a freelancer for a certain period of time. And what winds up happening is you're able to hire them for, 2 hours a day, an hour a day, 5 days a week, whatever it is. You can set the calendar. And oftentimes if you're dealing with, the Philippines or Sri Lanka or different places, you can pay $6 or $7 an hour. So if you tell me you don't have a $6 a day to buy back 1 hour of your time, I say stop going to Starbucks. I say don't buy another pack of cigarettes. I say don't buy lunch out another time until you start taking care of your business. Like Elvis used to talk about TCB, right? Taking care of business. If you're spending money, if you're buying coffee out and you're buying lunch out, you're buying cigarettes or whatever, tobacco products or vaping, all that good stuff, and saying that you don't have enough money to pay somebody to give you hours back in your calendar, I would recommend you look at your priorities, because if you start handing off the other things, you can start making a lot more money, and then you can buy all the Starbucks and all the Subway and all the Panera bread that you want to, right, guys? The point is you need to make, and you can go out and you can buy your time back by going to a freelancer for an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and then slowly step it up as you start making money and investing in leveraging resources, right? So from here, guys, the final step is that the difference between brokers that falter and brokers that seem to make money all the time, no matter what, is the brokers that always win. They have a game plan and they stick to the game plan. Think of it like this, guys. Back in the day, before we had GPS, before we had compasses, before we had all that stuff, the sailors used to use the stars. They would go by the stars. Now, knowing that, right, they would use the North Star as their guide. So if they were going from, I don't know, from Spain to America, right, the North Star would be on the right, okay? We know that if you're heading east, right, you need to have a direction. The point being, use your game plan as your guide. Just like sailors of 500 years ago, we need to have something that is our North Star. Let prospecting be your North Star, okay? If you are not waking up every single day creating new opportunities for yourself, you are leaving money on the table, and you're never going to get to the level of earnings that you want to, simply because you're not waking up and letting prospecting be your North Star. You're not creating those activities. You're not creating those opportunities so that you'll have new people coming into your business day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, right? So do not change your game plan because of some fad, because of something new, because some 1031 exchange buyer came in from out of town, or some other hot potato, right? Too many people, I see it all the time. Oh, this person just came out of town, so I just did this. This person, I got a call about this and I just did that. No, stop. Would you like not eat for a day because someone told you not to? No, the same as the thing goes with your business plan. Part of any solid business plan is daily prospecting. You have to be prospecting daily in order to be adding people into your funnel so that you can make your pipeline strong, so that you could have business coming in every single day. And smart brokers, the highest producing brokers, do not veer off of that game plan, right? What I would recommend is do what you know works. Good work habits are good work habits. You have to do what you know works, not, oh, I went on some class for this. And oh, I checked this out. I got this email about this. No, guys, no one's ever going to argue with you that prospecting every day is a bad activity. They're going to tell you, yes, that's what you need to be doing. No one's ever going to argue with you and say you shouldn't be going out and talking to sellers so that you can list their properties for sale. No one's ever going to make that argument, ever, ever, ever. If they do, run the other direction because they have no idea what they're talking about. You can build a very, very lucrative business in this business if you learn how to list and sell commercial properties, right? You know that works. Learn how to do it, okay? And then the other thing is, guys, this is an interesting stat I heard recently. Check this out. 99% of the time during a plane's flight, the plane is actually off course. Now, how is it if planes are 99% of the time they're not on the right course, how is it they always seem to get to the destination? Why? Because they have a flight plan, because they make adjustments and they get back on to the course, right? Because think about it, you're up in the air, the wind's blowing you this way, the wind's blowing you that way, turbulence, this, that, and the other thing, but 99% of the time they're not on the right course, but they always seem to course correct so they can get to their destination. You guys are no different than a commercial airline pilot. What you need to do is in your business, as the winds are blowing you this way, as the winds are blowing you that way, as things in life come up, what you need to be doing is reaching out and making the adjustments, reaching out to people on a daily basis, figuring out what those adjustments need to be made so you can stay on course and you can land safely. Land safely is hitting your income goals, right? Being able to save towards retirement, all those things that hitting your goals will bring you, right? But don't be afraid to make adjustments. Just because it worked a year ago doesn't mean it's going to work today. The one thing that you know is going to work is adding new clients to your business. The only reason why businesses fail, or the main reason businesses fail, is because they don't have enough new clients. If you're waking up every day to put new clients in your business, you will never, ever fail, okay? But you do have to make adjustments along the way to dial in your game plan. Okay, guys? Now, I have a question.